I'm going to teach you SQLite database in Android Studio and create an amazing app exactly like this. Hello guys and welcome to Master Android channel. We will continue with the complete Android developer course and we will learn how to create an app that stores, receives, deletes data inside our apps using SQLite databases. If this is your first time here, please subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you don't miss daily uploads. If you have any questions, projects, suggestions, tutorials that you want us to make, please comment it below. Please like our videos so it will help us making new videos every day. Let's start creating our SQLite database. So let's start by understanding how SQLite databases works in Android Studio and Android software. Now we go to Master Android. This is our application, official application available to download freely on Play Store. We helped millions of people to learn Android from this app. We go to Android course. We select the section number 5, storage and persistence, and here we go, page number 9, SQLite. SQLite. Welcome to SQLite to Android and example. SQLite is the mostly preferred way to store data for Android applications. For many applications, SQLite is the app's backbone, whether it's used directly via some third-party wrappers or other features. Below is the final app that we want to create today using the SQLite database. We will see it in a real example. Here I'm going to show you the SQL app that we want to create in this lesson. These are we can update the nodes, update, delete, or add some notes. And here we go. Here is the test that record. It is saved as number 3 inside our to-do list or SQLite app. So the usage of Android SQLite is a very lightweight database which comes with Android OS. Android SQLite combines a clean SQL interface with a very small memory footprint and a decent speed. For Android, SQLite is baked into the Android runtime, so every Android application can create its own SQLite databases. Android SQLite native API is not JDBC or JDBC might be too much overhead for memory limited smartphones. Once a database is created successfully, it's located in data/databases/accessible from the Android device monitor. SQL is a typical relational database containing tables which consist of rows and columns, indexes, etc. We can create our own tables to hold the data accordingly. This structure is referred to us as a schema. We will see in the next couple of minutes and next tutorials and videos, but before the SQL open helpers, database helper, database manager. So subscribe below to our YouTube channel to ensure that you don't miss any of these concepts or any of new tutorials. Now, Android has features available to handle changing database schemas, which mostly depending on using the SQLite Open Helper class. So what is this class? SQLite Open Helper class is designed to get rid of two very common problems. When the application runs the first time, at this point we don't yet have a database So we will have to create the tables, indexes, starter data, and so on. When the application is upgraded to a newer schema, our database will still be on the old schema for the older edition of the app. We will have option to alter the database schema to match the needs of the rest of the application. So it is a very useful class that we are going to create inside our application. Now, SQL Open Helper wraps its logic to create upgrade database as per our specifications. For this, we will need to create a custom subclass of SQLite Open Helper, implementing at least the following three methods. We need to create three methods. First of all, the constructor, which this will take the context, example, and activity, the name of the database, optional cursor factory. We'll discuss in later in real time creating the app, and an integer representing the version of database schema that you are using. So database helper, a constructor class, context, and returning the super or using the super context, database name, null, and DB version. On create method, passing SQLite Database DB as its argument. So it's called when there is no database and the app needs one. It passes us an SQLite Database object pointing to newly created database that we can populate with the tables and initial data. The third method is called on an upgrade. Also upgrade passes three arguments at DB, SQLite Database, old version, and the new version. It's called when the schema version we need does not match the schema version of the database. It passes us an SQL database object and the old and the new version numbers. Hence, we can figure out the best way to convert the database from the old schema to the new schema. We define a DB manager class to perform all database create, read, update, and delete operations. Now the connection. Before performing any database operation like insert, update, delete, or records in a table, first open the database connection by calling getWritable_database method as shown below. DB manager open through SQL exceptions, DB helper and new helper, and database getWritable_database method. The DB helper is an instance of the subclass of SQLite Open Helper class. Now, to close the database, we use dbhelper.close. The following code snippet shows how to insert a new record in the Android SQLite database. We are making a new insert method, passing a string to strings, name and the description. Content value, new content value method, putting SQLite or database helper subject name, and then putting the database helper, calling a database helper description and putting the value of description. Database.insert database helper name, null, and content value. Don't worry, we will see them in the real example, so don't miss to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Master Android, to get all of these stuffs free with source codes freely. We will discuss the other instance value of the, when we jump into the coding part. Now, the update method. The following snippet code shows how to update a single record in database. Public update, we passing ID, name, this description. Content value, new content value, we are putting the name and we are putting the description. The updating process or updating code will get here. And database.update database helper.update table name, content value, database helper.id equal ID and the null, and returning the ID. So here we have been updating the table name, the content values, the helper ID, and the ID null. Now we're going to delete. We just need to pass the ID of the record to be deleted. So passing the ID, database.delete, database helper.table name, and database helper.id, ID null. The cursor represent the entire result set of the query. Once the query is fetched, a call to the cursor to move the first method is made. Calling move to first method does two things. It allows us to test whether the query returned an empty set by testing the return value. The second thing, it moves the cursor to the first result when the set is not empty. The following code is used to fetch all records. Public cursor fetch, string, we are calling that database helper. The cursor we are made, turning the query. If the cursor does not equal to null, cursor.move to first, and returning at the final result as cursor. Another way to use a cursor is to wrap it in a cursor adapter. Just as array adapter adapts arrays, cursor adapter adapts cursor objects, making their data available to an adapter view like a ListView. The code. Let's jump out to our project that uses SQLite to store some meaningful data. In this application, we wish to create records that store country names and their respective currencies in the form of the list view. We cover all features of discussed above. These are the application consisting of five classes. This is our DB helper, DB manager, second class, and the country list activity. The third class, the fourth is country list activity, and the fifth class, DB manager simple cursor adapter. And we are going to create some menus and layouts, and finally adding them to our main activity layout and main activity class. These source codes are available to download on our YouTube channel, Master Android channel, and Master Android app found on Play Store, and Master Android Pro. If you want to donate us $1, please purchase Master Android Pro. We start by going to Android Studio and creating a new Android Studio and empty activity. I will name the application as an SQLite application. And this is Android Studio. These lessons are produced by Master Android application. So go to Play Store and download Master Android and Master Android app. Let's start by creating a new Java class called the SQL helper. As I told you in the course that we need to make a database helper. So extend database helper, extend SQLite database helper class or open helper class. Now we need to implement these methods, the implementation methods. But first of all, we are going to create the table name. So in SQL, we are using Android. We need to make the table name, the columns, the rows, and we need to insert data and the queries. So first of all, we need to make the table name by using public static final string the table name, and I will make the table name named countries. So remember that SQL is a structured query language, which depends on querying the data from the tables. So making the tables columns is done by making also a public static final string called _ID. This is the column for ID, and I will make another column called subject, and I will name it subjects. And third column, I will make it on the same way public static final, because they are not able to modify it. Also the making of the third column called description. So description, subject, and ID, these are the three columns inside our SQL database table. Now I'm going to make a database information. So static final, we start by static final and string db name. So what is the name of our database? It would be a master Android application .db. Okay, till now we have created the table name, the table columns, and the database name. Now let's make another information or database data or description for that by making the version. So the static final int database version would be 1. Later on, if you update the app, you will need to change this database version. Otherwise, your update will not take place at the level of databases. So later on, we are going to see in later videos how to create new versions of databases and how to update your current app found on by your users and seeing on Play Store. Now, creating the table query. As I told you, using the query in SQL is very important, and it is the basic thing used by SQL. Now, in order to create the query, we need to make it as string. Create the table by using create table plus the variable of the table name. So we have created the table name before, which is the countries. Okay, now we have created the table, and we are going to create inside the table by using the columns, by using the brackets, brackets, and specifying the columns for this table. We start by ID, and because the ID is a primary key and it's an auto increment, so every data is inserted, the SQL will increase its number by 1. Because ID is a primary key and not found and cannot be duplicated, so we use the primary key. And it is a value of integer. We use integer, primary key, auto increment, this characteristics for the ID column. Now we use for the subject, as I said to you, we have 3 columns: ID, subject, and description. The first one is integer, the second one is text, not null, and the third column is called description, and its values is this text only. Now we are going to create the constructor for the database helper. Till now we have finished using or making the SQL section. Now we need to make some Android coding by making the constructor of our database helper to be used. As I said to you in the lecture in the previous video, so we need to pass the context, the database name, the factory, which is null, and the database version. Please guys, if you have any questions or any doubt, please review the previous one, the SQL Lite database part 1. They are it is lectured in details for every method and every step. Now we need to create on create method that we are passing the SQLite database. We are executing the query here. So database execute SQL. Here we are telling the Android go and execute the query called create table that we have created before. Now we need to add the last method is called on upgrade, which is the last method inside database helper class. Database execute SQL if found, drop table if exists. So if there is any existent table before, so we are going to drop it, means we are going to delete it, and create the table name called table underscore name, and then execute on create database. Thank you guys. I hope you subscribe and like. We will start by creating the new class called DB Manager. So this is as a database manager where our commands or our queries and the connection between the database and the main activity and the SQL database will take place here. So we will start by making private database helper, an instance of our database helper class, so that we have created before. So if you missed the part 1, please go back to the previous video and see how a database helper works. Now, creating an instance of our context is very important, and we use also in our class. Now, the private SQLite database, this is our an instance of an SQL database. Now we are creating a database manager. So here is the constructor for our class. Now we are going to pass the context of this application, context C, and context equal this context or C. Now we have created the variables and the objects of the classes, and we are going to create, we have created the constructors, and we are going to create now some methods that are related to the database manager. So public database manager open throws SQL exception. Now we are opening the database by calling the database helper class and making an instance from it, passing the context of this class. Now the database db helper dot get writable database, as we see or so in the previous videos about the lesson that we have taken in part 1. So if you missed the lesson about the SQL, you can download Master Android and Master Android Pro applications found on Play Store, or you can go to the part 1 SQLite database part 1. Now we are going to also create the close application. Here database dot close. Here we are closing the database helper class. Now let's start creating other methods for our database manager. Insert method will pass the string name and string description as their arguments. Now we are inserting in this way using the content values instance and objects, the values of string, the name and description to our database. If you remember from the lesson that we have taken, that content values are very important to pass the data from raw or Android syntax to SQL syntax. Now, the content values we are putting here the data from the database helper and passing the database helper name and subject towards the content values and by using the put methods. We are connecting with the database helper class, passing the data that we need to pass, and we are adding the table name and the value null and the content or the context that we need. Now, here there is some error, cannot resolve the method, but we need to change it to database.insert and the table name. Now, let's create a public cursor fetch method. String array and columns. We are fetching the columns and putting them or making an array string called columns and new string database helper class dot underscore id. Then database helper dot subject, and the last one database helper dot description. Closing the string array and using again the cursor. So cursor. If you want to know about the cursors in databases, please go to part 1 in this video series, database SQL part 1, and you can know about cursor and these syntaxes. In the cursor, we are passing the table name, the columns, the null. These are values for a selection null, selection arguments, and we need to pass another two nulls, the group by nulls and the having null. These are the SQL commands like selections, like selection arguments, group by, having, and order by. These are for making the cursor using the structured query language, which if you know if you or you have any basic knowledge about the SQL, you will know what means selection, what means group by, having, and order by. Till now, we don't need to go through these filterings or these queries till now, because we are making a simple app and a basic app using the SQL Lite database. So if you want to go deep or we want us to lecture for you or clarify them, please comment below and I will help you. But till now, you are not going to use them or you want mandatory to know about them. Now, creating a public and update method called long or passing long ID, passing string name, and passing string description. Content values dot class or content values, a new instance from content values. As we see in the insert method, we are going to create the content values dot put database helper subject and the name and content values that put database helper dot the description and passing the variable description. Now we are creating the int variable. So int database.update database helper table name, and the content values passing database helper class and the ID. Till now we are doing well. Please, if you have any questions or any suggestions, please comment on our YouTube channel, Android Master app, or you can searching on YouTube or Master Android channel if you are having our logo or the keywords or the link. Now, please rate us 5 stars on Udemy if you are following our course. Till now, we have done using the DB manager by just making the last method called delete. So remember, the step 1 was making the database helper class that have the queries and the columns and table of using SQL language, and the second step is using the DB manager and making the queries or using the methods that that links the SQL with the Android. Now this third method or the third steps and the fourth step is making the 2 new activities, like adding the notes or adding the countries or adding the to-do list, and the one or displaying the countries or displaying the notes or displaying the to-do notes. Now the delete in the same way as we have seen in the update method and the insert method, database.delete, we are passing or using the database helper table. We are telling them that we are using the ID of our application now, or ID of our node. Now deleting the extra space, and I think we are done by our DB manager. Thank you guys. I hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest tutorials and follow our next lessons. Now, let's go to the main activity and create our list activity that will displays our database records. So I will refactor and rename our main activity so it will be the main the activity that will display the users and to the user all database records. So I renamed it as country list activity. Why country list activity? Because our example on our master Android application, if you download it, do not be confused. I will make this video according to our application lessons. Now, the country list activity, this activity will list all records in database. For that, we need to create some variables and some instance of objects or inside our activity. First of all, I create a database manager instance that we have previously created in part 3, and the ListView and a simple cursor adapter called adapter. And I created a string array called from a new string that array list string array database helper.id and database helper subject and database helper.description. Everything is working fine. We need here a semicolon. Now, we are going now to create another final or integer array called to new int and integer array r.id. Now, also r.id.title and r.id text. Don't worry if you have errors like this. We are going to solve every error step by step. Going inside on create method, inside our country list activity, we are going to initialize and initialize the variables and the instance of objects that we have created, and some widgets that we are going to display and add to our main activity XML file. Now, I will rename the layout here to fragment underscore emp underscore list. We are going to create this layout, and DB manager, we are going to create this layout here, or rename it refactor and fragment, or we can create another layout as you want. Till now I will refactor and create fragment underscore emp underscore list, and DB manager equals new DB manager. This. So we are passing the context of a to DB manager of our main activity or country list activity of this application. Now DB manager.open. We saw before videos how DB manager using open and close methods. So if you want to learn more about them, please review the part 1 of SQL database lesson. Now, ListView equal find view by ID, and we are going to create a ListView that displays inside our main activity layout, or the country list activity layout, display all records of our database. If you have any questions, any suggestions, or any tutorials that you want us to make in the future, or make tutorials about them, please comment below, and we will help you in your projects and in other things that you need. Now we are making some adjustment for our layout, making a relative layout. Here we are going to get the fill parent, and I'm going to add the list view and list view, or you can drag and drop if you want by the constraint layout. Thanks for Android 10 and Android 9 and Android the latest the versions that supports the constraint layouts. Now, just one thing I need to inform you that we are making daily uploads, and we are our team is making the professional course and professional Android tutorials freely without anything. So please subscribe to get benefit from us, benefit from our team, and get the latest tutorials that we are making. Now we are making the relative layouts here. So there is a bug. I'm just clarifying here that there is a bug in Android Studio. Maybe sometimes it cannot recognize or like understand what the user is typing or the developer is typing. So it is it's telling us there is an error here, and there is not no error exactly. So if you have doubt that you are making everything is good and Android Studio having error, please make a build or run or clean, so you will pass the errors. Now on the list view, adding it wrap content and match parent, divider height, and 1 dp. I am intentionally writing this in layout in XML language to just train you to learn and be familiarized by XML and the markup language. Now, in other tutorials, in next tutorials, we are going to drag and drop and use the constraint and the user interface editor in Android Studio to add the widgets and make our UI for the layouts, to make it easier and to save some time from us and from you. Now, adding text view, empty list, and the design is going good. Okay, everything is working good, and the error of list view is gone. Now, we need in our country list activity, in order to display the list view, we are going to add the list view dot set empty activity find view by id r.id dot empty. Now, adapter equal new simple cursor adapter.this. Remember, we have initialized the one or simple cursor above. So we are going here to make a new activity or activity underscore view record. Here, this is the activity that we are going to see or to be displayed when the user clicked the note or the record in order to display it. Now, I'm going to tell you or remember you that list view, and if you want to learn about list views and adapter, please go back to our YouTube channel and the Master Android or the complete Android developer course, and see the course about list views and card views, adapters, models, model class, adapter view, adapters, and all of these stuffs. So don't miss to like and subscribe. Your comment, your like, and your subscription will give us motivation to make new videos. Now, adding the on-click listener functionality. So if the user click any other records inside our list view, the list view will set on ItemClick listener and do the following code. In new adapter view on ItemClick listener, clicking OK, and okay, it's not adapter. I think it's not adapter on ItemClick. Okay, just adding on ItemClick method and text here. Just adding the click event, text view, ID text view equal view dot find view by ID, since we are using inside an adapter view. We need to add the find view by ID previously linked with the view. So text view title, text view, view, find view by ID, r.id.title. Here are the text views that we are going to make inside our layouts. Now the text view description view equal find view by ID and r.id.description. Now the string, we are passing the strings inside in order to get the strings. I'm just making them a copy paste because I want to save time, and getting the text of the inside the edit text by using get text to string, ID, title, and description. Also the intent, modify underscore intent equal new intent. This intent will pass this data or these texts taken from the edit text and passing them to the modify country activity that we are going to create in next video. Now modify underscore intent to put extra and title modify intent dot put extra description and the description. Modify intent, put extra ID and the ID. Starting the activity and passing the modify intent. Everything is working fine. We still have to create the missing activities. Okay. Removing the extra spaces. On create options menu, since we are going to add the menu or add the button for and making a menu for that, at the top of the toolbar we are going to create a menu folder containing the main menu item. Okay, in this way we are going to display the menu when the user, or adding the functionality for this menu is done by adding on options item selected. Now I want to add 2 lines, int id equal item.get item id, getting the item id and testing if this id is equal to r.add, which is the one we are going to create inside our menu file. So intent add meme or note equal new intent, passing this and add country activity. So this add country activity, this activity we are going to create in the next videos. So starting the activity and the menu, add mem. Okay. Till now we have to create the menu that we will display for the user, and then adding the add country activity in next video. Okay, now we are going to create the menu as I told you, and we are going to create a modify country list and solving some errors that we have in our country list activity. Java, and going to the net. Okay, just adding the fragment emp list. Okay, creating the menu folder, Android resource, create or click on resources folder, right click on add new resource directory, select the menu and click OK. A menu folder will be displayed here, created here. Now click on menu, new resource file, and click the main. Our application will create a menu folder like this. Now we are going to display the item for the user as an add a country or add node. So adding the XML and S, removing this tag. Okay. And adding the tools. That is the same. I remove it, and maybe adding the tools namespace and the context. So the country, adding the tools, the package name net.masterandroid.sqlite app, adding the tools context for this menu XML file, and I will add the country list activity. Okay, till now everything is working fine. Now let's create the item for in this menu file. The item Android ID and ID add record. Remember guys, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you will land among the stars. So don't be frustrated. Keep coding, keep going, never stop. If you don't understand once, you can go and search more and more till you understand the idea and the lesson exactly. I'm here to help you, me and my team, freely to help every person. As I helped over 1 million people, I will help you. Don't be hesitated. Please, if you have any question, please list it in the comments below. here is the item we have created. And now, thank you guys. If you remember from the previous videos that we have created an activity called add country activity. So we are going now to create an activity called add country activity, so our error will be solved here. Now, create a class. We need to create, not create a class, we need going to create an activity with a layout. So simply add new Android activity and name it as the same as I have written before. Okay, add counter activity. So this activity, as I told you, allows the user to insert data inside our database. So it is the entry or the user interface that the users will be able to insert data inside our database and inside our SQLite columns and tables. Now, we have this layout. We are going to edit the layout first, but waiting for the Gradle project sync. And now increasing the size of the font, removing all this and making a linear layout, and adding the tools and the app codes. But first we need to insert the layout height and the layout width. If you need to learn more about layouts, please watch the layouts video in our YouTube channel, Master Android, and you can download Master Android from the Play Store and Master Android Pro from the Play Store, so you get all your reference and all our tutorials freely and with source codes. If you need to support us, you can buy the Pro version with $1, so you can help us and help our developers and family. Now we are adding some attributes for Android with orientation and padding. Okay. If you want the complete Android developer course, you can go to Udemy and search for Android, the complete Android 10 developer course made by Abbas Masri, and the link in the description. You get the promo code and the free codes and some offers. Now I am making the changes for this, why we are using the linear layout, why we are having some error. Maybe as I told you before, Android Studio sometimes had some bugs or lag in the new versions, like in this way. In this case, there is telling us there is an error, but exactly there is no error. It need to run or add the like a clean run or build the project, so everything will be fine. Till now, please write as I'm typing here, making a new edit text, layout width, layout height, and the ID is called subject edit text. So we will get the subject edit text as title, enter title, and closing it, and request focus. This attribute is very important for us, because it will request a focus from the user and the system and cannot be blanked. Please, if you need to review about edit text, you can go to Play Store and download Master Android Pro, or review our YouTube channel videos and see learn about edit videos. I think it's number 4 or 5 in the complete Android developer course series. Now making an edit text. Again, this for description. Minimum lines. Here the user will enter the description of the edit, the node. Description, edit text. Okay. Till now we are doing very well. It's my laptop. Okay, making also button for saving our text and edit text inside the description and the title. Okay, amazing. We are doing well. Remember, don't stop coding. Please complete coding. Make sure you open your Android Studio, open your laptop, and push yourself forward. Don't say that I will make I can learn coding and be professional without making making hard work and making sample project and simpler project. Start by making and creating like our apps and simple project, and you will get into the big ones. Don't stop, please. You can do it. You can be professional Android developer and professional student, professional teacher, professional whatever you want. Remember one thing: if you practice is the key. If you practice, whatever you want, you can master. I was, and me and my team, I were confused like you, but in some cases. But remember, we are you are on the right track. Continue with our course, and we will get you in the right place every day. We will upload videos in the exact order that we have learned, and we see that it is the best way to learn. Please just like us, like our videos, rate us 5 stars on Udemy, and support us by subscribing and commenting below. Please say thanks only. Okay, back to our add country activity. We are making the widgets, we are initializing them. We have created 2 edit text, subject text, and text description edit text, and a button called add to do button. And we have to create an instance from DB manager. Now, there is an error there above needed to implement the methods. I will implement them later on. But now we are setting the text as or setting the title as add record. Now,
this declaring the variables or instantiating the variables is done here by making and instantiating the edit text, the two edit texts, and the button, and we will start building the functionality for the button that will take the text from the user the user entered values and save them into the database. Now, subject edit text, find view by ID, r.id subject text edit text, and edit text description, initializing it, and the button add to do button add record. Now, DB manager in the same way of making an instance of class new DB manager and passing the context called this, and DB manager, as I told you in the previous video, we need to call the open method. If you need to review about the DB manager and new details, please go back to the description or the lesson in part 1, SQLite number 1. So, adding the functionality for the button, add to do a button set on click listener. This, we are setting the button functionality click or handling the click events by making this. Now, we are going to create a method called public void on click, or we can override it because we are passing, since we have been implementing the click listener above and adding the set on click listener this, we are able to override the method automatically inside our add country activity in any place outside of onCreate method. So I'm creating a switch for making the cases of having the user clicked the record button. Now, case r.id.addRecord final string name equal subject edit text.getText to string. I'm transforming or getting the string values from the edit text and saving it to a string. Then final string description, and the same way subject edit text or description edit text.getText to string. Now, DB manager dot insert name and description. I'm passing the two values, now making the intent for our class, passing to our class or add country activity this, and back to the country list or the main activity that we have created in the previous video. So what this means, that the user, when the when the user click the save button, it will take the text from the edit texts, passing through the DB manager go away and store the values inside the database, SQLite database, and the intent, when everything is finished and everything is good, we will take us from this activity to the list activity, and the list activity will display the all nodes, including our our node.
First of all, we go to our application folder and we create a new activity. Our activity will be renamed as modify counter activity. This application or this activity is responsible for making and modifying and editing the nodes and the features of the node and what have been inserted in our database. So in terms of SQLite or databases, this application or this activity is responsible for editing and updating the data inserted inside our app. Now, we will modify and change the XML layout, and we will make the 3 edit text or 2 edit text with 1 button. As we have seen in before, we will continue making the same layout as the insert or adding new new node activity. First of all, I'm just adjusting some codes in XML. Here we have the linear layout. As I told you, maybe sometimes Android Studio have some lag or have some bugs. So if you are right, you are sure that your code is 100% is correct. Maybe sometimes you have some errors in Android Studio. Don't worry if you like if you face like these errors. Please make a clean build or make the project so everything will be fine. Till now, my error was Android Studio is indicating that I'm missing the layout height. Okay. I'm just defining the linear layout now. I'm making an edit text, match parent, and wrap content. Okay. I'm giving it an ID now. I will give it subject underscore edit text and the layout margin bottom 10 dp. Okay guys, everything is working fine. Just defining some widgets. I will make 2 edit text and 1 button. If you have any questions and tutorials you want us to make, please comment it below on our YouTube channel and hit 5 stars on Udemy, so you will push us forward to make new tutorials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. This will be very helpful for us, and we will make new tutorials. Don't miss to like and comment below. Please say thanks for our tutorials, so we'll help our team to develop and make more videos every day. Now we will continue making the 2 edit texts in the same way as we have seen before. So if you have any SQLite related questions, please go back to part number 1, so you have a full detailed lesson about SQL. Now, the linear layout here, okay, would be the fill parent and the wrap content. I'm making a new linear layout under the or inside the big linear layout or the parent linear layout that contains the 2 edit text. I'm making a linear layout below. Now everything is working fine, and inside our linear layout children or child, we are going to make a button. As I told you, this button is responsible for updating and modifying
the results. Okay, the text is update and the layout wait is number 1. If you want to learn about layouts and other widgets, bottom linear layouts, edit text, and whatever you need in Android and Android Studio, please go to our official app called Master Android and Master Android Pro. You can download them and learn tons of tutorials, and we have helped many people, 1 million people and above and more in learning Android. So if you want, go to Play Store, download Master Android and Master Android Pro. You can donate for us $1 if you want to buy the Pro version, or you want the free version. It's available to download. I'm making a new button called delete. So till now we have created 2 edit text and 2 buttons. 2 edit text to modify the results, and update button and delete button. Now back to modify country activity class. Going to the Java class, I will extend activity implementing the on-click listener. So everything is working fine till now. I will declare and instantiate the widgets that I have created. I will make 2 edit texts, title, private edit text or private button, update button, and delete button. Private edit text and the subject or the description text. Okay, everything is working fine. Now private long ID underscore and private DB manager as we have created before. In the same way, I'm going to use the DB manager in the same exact way as we learned before in the previous parts. So if you want to learn about DB manager and what's its role, please go back to tutorial number 1. Now set text. I will set the text for modify the record. So this activity is responsible for modifying and updating the records in the database. When the user click on any item, the activity or modify a country activity will be launched and allow the user to modify and update the results and the data inserted. DB manager open and title text, find view by ID, r.id. Subject edit text. Now description text equal find view by ID. I am just instantiating the items, the widgets, and description edit text. Now the same way for update button and the delete button. If you have any recommendation, please suggest it below, comment it below. I like comments from people, from honest people. Please don't be shy. Please don't be selfish. Please update. Please tell us what we need to update in the next tutorials, what we need to improve in our voice, and improve in video quality, improve in tutorial content. Please, if you have any question or recommendation or opinion or whatever you want, please comment it below. We are very glad and very happy to see our family, our fans, our subscribers are commenting and making a difference and making improvement in our way of lecture. So we are doing this for lovely people like you. So please don't be selfish. Please comment below what we need to improve, or just say thanks. Thank you, guys. I'm just making the 3 strings for ID, name, description, getting the string extra title, getting the ID, the title, and the description. So as I told you, we are going to the main activity, and when the main activity means the list activity. So when the user app opens the app, the list activity will be displayed first. So whenever the user click on any of the nodes, any of the records of the data, the modify country activity will be launched using the intent. Using the intent, passing the data, the ID, the title, and the description. Now, in the modify country activity, intent, and get intent, I'm getting the all data that we have passed from the previous activity, which is the list activity. So I'm just saying that, hey, I need the node number 5. I don't modify don't modify any nodes except number 5. So when the user click on node number 5, I am telling the modify country activity by using the intent that, hey, I need to modify the node number 5 exactly. So, but in this way, I am translating them into a coding sequence by using the intent. So the intent is used to pass the exact ID, the exact title, the exact description. And when and I'm saying here that when the user click on the save button or update button, go to the string title, get the updated text, the updated data from the title now, and get the updated description, the new description of our text, and save them to our database or update the database with them by using the DB manager update method. If you remember the update method, you can go to DB manager and see it. Hey, DB manager, update the description and the title for the corresponding ID. This is what I am telling the database in this code and in this activity. Everything will be fine, and this is the exact way that we need to update our database. Now, the case number 2, when the user click on the button delete. So dbmanager.delete the ID, title, and description. All of them are related to the primary key used for underscore ID. So what this means that we have a primary key for every node, which is underscore ID. So I'm not going to specify every time I want to delete anything. I'm just not specifying the title, the description, and the ID exactly. I'm sufficient to specify the ID primary key for every node I have created to modify or to delete it. Now I'm making a new method called return home. This return home method will go back to the intent by making intent, and passing the get application context and passing to our list activity class. Okay, setting the flags, intent.flag, clear top, clearing the cache and clearing the data from our memory heap and stack. Now starting the activity and home activity, home intent. Everything is working fine till now. We have finished the modify country list. Now going back to our add country activity, everything is working fine. Checking the okay. Till now we are good. We are naming the menu here, and there are no still errors despite some 3 errors. Okay, I'm just need to make and edit the layout of our activity. Now just renaming the activity view record activity, just specifying the simple cursor activity view record. Okay, we are going to create now and the layout for the missing layout for our app.
So I have created activity view record. Going to layout, new resource, and the same name, activity view record. In the same way as before, we are going to create a relative layout and changing the views here and the height. Okay, so remember the coding of Java we have finished. The coding section is finished. We are now going to just modify and create some layout widgets and some missing layouts and missing widgets, and we are going now to run the app when the layout will be finished. So I'm going to create a text view ID. This first text view is having the ID. This is for displaying the nodes. Layout margin right, 60p. If you want to learn about layout specifications, layout attributes, you can find all attributes and the most common attributes lectured in detailed way in on Master Android and Master Android Pro. So go applications. So go to Play Store, download them, and you will never regret for downloading like these amazing apps. We have helped millions of people learning Android and mastering Android from zero to hero, and we are going to create many tutorials on our YouTube channel. So subscribe to our YouTube channel to get most of these tutorials free. Now creating text view also. This text view is called title. This will display the title of our note, and the text view ID also will display the ID of the note or the record. Okay, making some text style. So in next tutorials, we are not going to make writing the layout in XML. We are going to drag and drop and use the most of constraint layouts, so it is easier, faster, and user friendly user interface. So I like intentionally write the codes of this application in XML to make you familiar with XML and practice XML and see the layout attributes that you can write in XML. So don't be bored or just skipping the videos or skipping the titles. So every single attributes is very important for our layouts, our widgets. So I recommend that you open your Android Studio and your laptop and watch our videos and practice on the same way and create these examples in the same way we have created to learn more and to anchor the knowledge and make use of our samples. So maybe you will master Android in the correct way. So we have finished creating our layout. So I'm just editing here the views, saving all, and clicking run. So let's see our amazing application. Here we go. This is our application. Let's click on add. Here is the add activity. If you add country activity, so whenever the user clicks on add, so add country activity will be added or open to allow the user to add some titles and some description. Master Android app. Download Master Android app from Play Store and start learning Android app development from zero to hero. This is our record. Okay. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest tutorials. I will make a long description to see the functionality of the layout, which is good. Add record. Hooray! It's our amazing SQL Lite. Now let's create another one. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe now and get the most and got all tutorials free without anything. We are going to spread the knowledge and make amazing the biggest Android course on YouTube. So subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all of these courses free. Amazing. I'm clicking on the note so you can update it, delete, or save it. Thank you guys. I hope you subscribe and like and rate us 5 stars.